Coming up on the next episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. You're now listening to Zuzu All Grown Up.
She's been featured in more than 20 films from the early days of film and television.
He is a psychotherapist and her loving husband.
Together, they are on a mission to brighten your day and your life.
It's a time to smile, a time to laugh, a time to expect more.
It's time to get inspired with your hosts, Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunel.
It's time to meet Zuzu, all grown up.
Teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Do you believe that life is wonderful in principle, but for some reason just isn't so consistently in practice? Every life will have its ups and downs. But have you ever thought that if there were only more people around you encouraging, uplifting, and even inspiring you, then life would be more fulfilling? If only people like George and Mary Bailey were in your inner circle, then life could truly be wonderful all the time? If so, we've got good news for you, because you can find such people on this podcast and at zuzunetwork.com. This podcast is the vision of Karolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and Dr. Chris Brunel, illustrating how the timeless message of It's a Wonderful Life can be and is applied to our modern lives and situations. Indeed, when you take that message to heart, your life will become immeasurably more wonderful. Visit us at zuzunetwork.com and listen to this podcast series to learn more about how. Now sit back, relax, and get ready to enjoy another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Today's guest goes by the name Grandma Sparky Bridges, known as the First Lady of Acknowledgement. Grandma Sparky has been giving out blue ribbons since 1980.
The blue ribbons are designed to express appreciation of loved ones, friends, teachers, neighbors, and beyond during special ceremonies. Over 50 million people have since been impacted.
Stay tuned. Grandma Sparky Bridges is our next guest here on Zuzu, All Grown Up. I really enjoyed talking to Grandma Sparky. She has adopted many kids all over the world, and her website is www.blueribbons.org. She calls it Uniting Humanity Through the Power of Love. And Who I Am Makes a Difference does help these children, gives them self-confidence. And she especially has made a difference with the young people in some of the schools where the children aren't exposed to a lot of good things.
It's about being acknowledged, being seen, and being appreciated for who everyone is.
One child, one community, one country at a time. 1 billion honored, 1 billion dreams come true to heal our planet. Isn't that really a wonderful idea that she had? She's going to tell us all about how she started it, why she started it, and it should be very interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too.
Get ready for miracles. Get ready for Zuzu. All grown up.
Our next guest is known for saving kids' lives and making dreams come true in 60 seconds or less through the power of love. Grandma Sparky Bridges of Blue Ribbon Who Am I Makes a Difference program will be Karolyn's guest today. Karolyn, Grandma Sparky, thank you for being with us today. We're looking forward to your interview.
Well, hello, and is it pronounced Helice?
Helice, absolutely, 100%. Good on you.
You must tell me how your mother came up with that name.
Actually, she did not come up with that name. I was born Arlene Rosa Lee Roth, and then my name changed later. And then I wanted to get my name changed, and I went to a woman who changes names, and she gave me the name Helice Bridges because I was going through a divorce. My mama said, "You don't need your last name. Why don't you find out what the lady gives you?" And so I went there, and I changed my name I took the middle name Lee and my married name, and then I changed it, and she gave me the name Helice Bridges. And now everybody calls me Grandma Sparky.
Well, I see that. Well, that's pretty remarkable for a history of a name.
Yeah,
Your mom encouraged you to do that. I think that's really good.
it was good.
So I am so interested in this. Who I am makes a difference.
Yes.
What a wonderful perception. I have a special interest in this because I had a son who, when he was 18, committed suicide.
Oh, God.
And it was, due to rejection and not being able to connect with his peers and things like that. So this gives these kids self-confidence. I just think it's really a wonderful thing that you have created. So share with me today, if you don't mind, who you are and your amazing story of how you came from challenges in your own life to become the founder of Blue Ribbons Worldwide. I want to know what encouraged you to do this.
I want to just give a heartfelt pause for your son, okay? Suicide is the second leading cause of
That's right.
death among kids as young as 10 years old up to 34. So the reason I got into this was I'm 82 and you're, I think, a year older than me
I'm
now.
84. Oh, no, I'm 83. Excuse me.
You're 83. No, I found that out. Okay, between the two of us, we're pretty smart. We've got a lot of wisdom, but the thing about it is when I was 37, I was a businesswoman, mom, successful businesswoman, mom to two preteen sons, married to a brilliant and beloved businessman. He could blink and make money. I was the hardworking workhorse, but behind closed doors, my husband, that beautiful man that everybody loved and adored, he was intimidating and controlling and verbally, emotionally abusive. And I was subservient to him, but very successful in my business career. And one day I was just so deflated by him. I didn't know that really. It just chips away at us, when we just don't think we matter and somebody continues to tell us and not acknowledge us for who we are. I decided to take my life. And
You did.
I drove home in my new Mercedes, drive it up to our beautiful home overlooking the Pacific Ocean. We had all of the glitz and glitter. We had everything. Okay, we had a beautiful, beautiful home, beautiful community, beautiful people that we loved. My kids were preteen. Everything looked good. They surfed the waves below in the ocean, in the Pacific Ocean below us. But I remember stopping my car, pulling up to the driveway, and just getting out and just saying, I got to kill myself. And that just shut the lights off. That's all I could. I was consumed with that and looking gorgeous, wearing the right clothes, doing, everything. And the day, I think the next day, when I wanted to take my life, I had figured it out how I was going to do it. And I fell to my knees and I started to sob and cry. And I just shouted to the heavens, stop the world. I got to get off and find a place where people love each other. And I heard a little sweet voice within me, little sweet, kind voice. And it just said, you can't take your life because you're going to sing, dance, write, and have a musical on Broadway. And you're going to bring love to the world. I heard it just like I'm talking to you.
Oh my gosh.
I popped up like toast. I mean, literally, I went from gonna die, don't have a future, don't even know why I'm here, to something bigger than me spoke through me. And I sat up and I went, really? I'm going to sing and I can't sing. I can't dance. I'm a businesswoman. Okay. And then the next thing that happened is I auditioned for a musical comedy. I asked one of my clients who was on Broadway in New York, and I called her up and I said, I want to sing and dance. She didn't ask me if I could sing or I could dance. She just said, go down to stage 7 downtown in San Diego and audition. What I didn't know is those that I was auditioning with were 17 to 23-year-olds, and they were professionals on Las Vegas and Broadway stages.
Ooh.
I didn't know that. We were all signing up and going in for the audition, and they all sang, and they got massive applause. And then I got up. I can't sing. I can't hear the music. The piano man was pianoing, and I just had this little script and the 4 lines. I was so proud. I stood there and I went, starting here, starting now. And everybody just stared at me like they dropped their jaw and they looked at me and the silence, complete silence. And nobody said anything. And I just stood there. And the director said, give her a bigger beat. She's dying up there. And I sang all 4 lines and the quiet, it was just, you could hear a pin drop. And I'm staring and I'm smiling. And I finally said, well, so how was I? And I kept smiling. And they slowly started to applaud, a little bit of applause, a little bit more. And the more I smiled, the more they applauded. Anyway, I landed the role. I landed the role because it was a musical comedy and they thought I was a comedian. Nobody ever came there that wasn't professional. And so that's what happened. And it was just a summer stock. It was a one-night show. I didn't really realize till the opening of the show when we were behind the curtain. I said, wasn't that rehearsal last night awesome at this big theater in San Diego? And they said, one young man said, oh, but you've been on Las Vegas and Broadway stage. And I started to say, no, this is my first. Before I said time, we went starting here, starting now. When we walk, we'll walk. So we had the 3 months of rehearsal and I could sing from that and perform.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Start your morning right with premium coffee roasts available at ZuzuNetwork.com and drink them in your Zuzu All Grown Up coffee mug. Also perfect for tea and hot chocolate.
Stay inspired throughout the day with the same gratitude journal used by Karolyn and Chris, and check out t-shirts, hats, books, Christmas keepsakes, and more at ZuzuNetwork.com/shop.
Join Zuzu's network today at ZuzuNetwork.com/join.
Karolyn is creating an international network of aspiring angels, everyday people who believe that they can help make the world a better place by making life better for even just one other person.
Let us know you want to earn your wings at ZuzuNetwork.com/join, and Karolyn and Chris will send you inspirational material to support you in your journey.
We're back with more Zuzu All Grown Up.
What a career, my goodness. You were in musical theater. Oh, that's incredible. So then what happened next?
Those 3 months, I was with young people. I was learning how to perform. I was helping them because I was the 37-year-old mom, and they were 17 to 23-year-olds who had problems. And they would come to me, and I felt important. I felt like I had a purpose. And I also felt community. We all worked toward an end result called this performance. Long and short is 3 months later, we had a one-night show. My husband came with our two sons, who were probably 8 and 9 years old at the time, I'm thinking. And everybody after was plotting like crazy. And I got a chance to perform in 3 different parts of the show. And everybody was getting flowers and hugs after from people in the audience, they were family members and so forth. And my husband was waiting at the back at the door to leave. And I got nothing. I said, how'd you like it? And he said, well, it wasn't air conditioned enough in the room. And he walked out. And he left with my 2 kids. And I went to a Jack in the Box and I got a big malted milkshake and French fries. And I drove home about 1 a.m. And I said, that's it. I've got to leave my husband. That was the beginning of that decision. And then I finally chose to leave, and I left everything. I walked out with my potted plant and my clothes and nothing else. And we had a massive, beautiful home. And I took nothing except that and drove off, not knowing. And I was a mess. I was, I from suicidal to, and depressed to a glorious thing to going through leaving my husband. I left I gave up my career. It was a very successful career. I gave up my home. I left my home. I left my kids. I was in the homes of my friends, living in their garages or living in my car. I went homeless for a while, and then something happened. What happened was I met a gentleman who introduced me to a personal development course. I started dating him, and he just dragged me into this course, and you could see the heel marks going in. I'm a millionaire. I don't need, personal development. And I sign up at the break, and he says, "You paid everything and you signed up before you saw the rest?" And I said, "If it's halfway what it's supposed to be, I'll leave you in the dust," which is exactly what happened. Well, he was great. And I wound up discovering who I was. I discovered my self-worth, and I understood more about not being subservient to my husband, of which that changed a lot. If he asked me for something, I said, "Sorry, I can't help you." Mm-hmm. So I wound out to be a co-chair of the San Diego Hunger Project, and that took me to the Blue Ribbon.
Oh, so that's what took you to the Blue Ribbon.
Yes, this gentleman that I was dating, we became co-chair of the San Diego Hunger Project. And in that place, which is a miracle, and you think about it, is I just said to him, he came down a couple hours drive every weekend to visit with me, and I said, "I have a need to make a difference." That was way before that conversation was, spoken publicly. And it was because that I had taken this personal development training. And he came down, and I said, "I got to make a difference." And he said, "Well, let's drive and we'll figure out a place." And we went to Julian, a Western place where they have great pies, and outside of San Diego, everybody goes there for Julian pies. And it's like the old saloons and all that kind of stuff, small place, beautiful place, touristy. And there was a sign that said Hunger Project. And I said, "What's that?" And he goes, No, everybody's been talking about the Hunger Project. I don't know that I want to go. I said, "Let's go and just listen." And when we went into this like saloon type thing, maybe it was an old church, I don't know, had a little stage and about 50 people in the room and benches. And I came in and I heard this woman on the stage, and she said, "Every minute, 21 kids are dying because of starvation, and there's enough food in this world, and we could help them." And I went, "I want to do that. Just to be a millionaire. Why can't I help kids? If they're starving, I could do that." I was just thinking it, and this young man stands up. He's probably, I don't know, about 16, 17 years old. And he stands up, and he's wearing this jumpsuit with a lot of zippers, and he unzips, and he pulls out this enrollment card, and he said, "I just was hitchhiking, and this guy next to me picks me up, and he said, I'll take you to your destination, but you have to come to this Hunger Project meeting with me." And he said, so he gave me a bunch of cards that said I'm supposed to go out and enroll people in doing something to help end world hunger. And now I have a purpose. And I went, wow. And then they invite us all down to the basement for lunch. And we go down, and there's a lot of benches, and everybody's sitting, and people come out with these big bowls of food, and everybody's applauding. We owned a restaurant, my husband and I. Nobody applauds for the waiters and waitresses. I didn't understand that they were volunteers and they were bringing out the food. It didn't make sense to me. I thought I was in a restaurant, right? And everybody's yay for the people that were giving us the food. And then they didn't even charge us for the food. And I go, what kind of restaurant is this? I didn't understand about volunteering. I didn't live in that world. And then after I was so moved, I went over to the chairperson and I said, oh, I'll take 1,500 of those cards. And she said, no, nobody takes 1,500 cards. They take 3 cards and 5 cards. And I go, no, 1,500. That's 500 a month. In 3 months, I will enroll 1,500 people so we could do something to end world hunger. In 3 months, I enrolled 87 people. It was not as easy as I thought. my good friend Rex, who is no longer with us, he was my boyfriend at the time, and he and I, for the next 8 months, we enrolled 10,000 people to do something to end world hunger. I built a team of people, and I went out every weekend on the movie lines and on the beaches, and we just went up to people and said, "How would you like to end world hunger?" and sign this little card. And they would go, "Get out of here, we're resting," or whatever. And so it was a lot of rejection at the beginning, but I got good at it. And eventually 1 out of 3 people that I approached enrolled. And I was speaking in high school and middle school auditoriums on behalf of the Hunger Project. And what happened is after I spoke, I would have a gathering of students and teachers around me and so forth. And one of the boys said, "My father's going to lose his job, and we're going to starve because we're going to lose our home." And a girl comes up and says, "My mother's got cancer, and I don't know what to do." And the teacher comes up and says, my son just got arrested for drugs. And I'm beside myself. And I came home and I said, "I'm going through a divorce. I have no clue how to help these people." And then I thought, but maybe they needed to be loved like me when I was growing up. Maybe they just need to be loved. I think I'll create a way for them to be loved. And that's how I created the blue ribbon that says "Who I am makes a difference." Began honoring people.
My goodness. What a dedicated person you are. Wow. I'm so thrilled to meet you. And I saw your story. It has been in the Chicken Soup, the Soul book. And
right.
Your video was just really wonderful. And it's been on YouTube, #1 for how many, 10 weeks?
It was 10 weeks on YouTube. And it was made into a television movie also. And may I have a moment to tell you that story for everybody to hear it? Because
we'd love to.
It's very important for all of us to know that any of us, if we can tell our story like what you're doing right now, is so important because we don't know who's hearing and what difference we can make. But here I have that. Let me grab a ribbon off of here, my stand. Hold on a minute. I'll take it off of me. It's easier. So what happened is I started this blue ribbon ceremony. Here's the blue ribbon. It says "Who I Am Makes a Difference," has gold letters on it and so forth. And I began to walk up to teachers and my neighbors, and I told them how much I loved and respected them. And then I'd ask them if I had permission to place the ribbon above their heart. And then I would cheer them on for their dreams and take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders in this ribbon. And I go, bing, it's a sound that makes dreams come true. Bing. And then I would place the ribbon.
That's how Bing started.
Yes, the Bing. Actually, I'll go back and tell the Bing story, and then I'll tell the blue ribbon story. How about that? Very important. Very important. I started to teach a lot of my colleagues how to honor each other, and we went to a preschool. The kids were like 4 and 5 years old, and I said, "Let's break into circles." In fact, my children's book. I'm going to show you this for a second. Sparky and the Magic Blue Ribbon. This book will come out in the next couple of months. It's a true story of how children brought love to the whole wide world. And you see it says Bing in there. And this is a true story, which I'll tell you in a little bit. But right now, I have all of my colleagues, and they all volunteered. We broke into a circle of 6 kids. Now, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I honored the first little boy, my circle of 6. And I placed the ribbon above his heart, and I gave him a thumbs up and a cheer and a bang. And then I asked him to honor the boy next to him. And he goes, "You're not my best friend, but you're almost my best friend. So I'm going to give you this ribbon, but we're not really my best friend, but almost my best friend." And it was so pure, right? And so all the other kids were wiggling and looking up the ceiling, and, they're waiting to get their ribbon. So I said, "I tell you what, every time we honor somebody, I'll say, where does the ribbon go?" And you all repeat, "Above the heart." And then I said, "Now, I am called Sparky." I wasn't grandma at that time. It was a long time ago. I said, "I'm going to take the spark from my heart and put it in the ribbon. And when I do, you all go bing. That's the sound that will make dreams come true." I just made it up.
You just made it up.
I made it up in that moment to keep them engaged. That was it.
Yeah.
And then about about a few weeks later, was working out of my home, and I had a business gentleman come to visit me. I honored him with the blue ribbon. He said, "I need a bing. You got to give me a bing." I said, "I only bing the little kids." He said, "Seriously, I need a bing." And so I binged him, and he started laughing, giggling. And I went, maybe laughter is the best medicine. What if I try this out and see if it works? And I was going on to a high school, speaking to student leaders there about this concept of honoring people. And I used the bing, and they bursted out laughing. And I went, that's it. I'm going to add it to the ceremony. 7 steps, takes a minute or less, 60 seconds or less, we say. And that's how the bings was created. Wow. Out of nothing. When the story was in Chicken Soup for the Soul, that story came to be in 1988. Chicken Soup was published the first book in 1993, of which my story got in. And it has been responsible for over 50 million people being involved with our work around the world, that 3-page story. And what happened is a teacher called me. We had a 1-800 line, and she wanted a bag of ribbons to honor all of her high school students, one at a time. And so this teacher I sent her 100 ribbons. I think it does. I don't even know what she paid for it. Today, they're $25 per 100 for a packet of 100 ribbons with a 7-step blue ribbon ceremony. But she began to honor each of her 30 kids in the class, in her high school senior class, one at a time. And she told them how much she loved and respected them. She cheered them on for their dreams. And she gave each 3 extra ribbons to go and honor others. And she said, let's do a community building experiment. Go out, honor somebody, give them 2 ribbons to pay it forward, and have them honor somebody else, and have the last person honor, and then come back and tell us what happened. And this is what happened with one of the boys. A high school senior went to a junior executive, and he honored him for helping him with his career planning, placed the ribbon above his heart, cheered him on for his dreams, and gave him 2 more ribbons and said, hey, go and honor somebody, and then give them a ribbon, and then have that person tell me what happened, because I have to report it in class next week. That afternoon, the junior executive goes to his grouchy boss, and he honors him for being a creative genius, building the company, and giving him a job. And with his permission, he said to the boss, can I place this ribbon on you? You know, this kid's doing this project in school, and I'm going to cheer you on for your dreams. And can I give you the last ribbon? And the goal is for you to go and honor somebody and come back and tell me what happened, so I can report it to this boy, who we can report it in class. That night, the grouchy boss is going home in New York traffic, thinking, who am I going to honor? He gets home, he sits his 14-year-old boy down, and he says, every night I come home and I yell at you for not cleaning your room and getting better grades in school. But tonight, son, I just want to tell you that who you are makes a difference, and that I love you. And the boy starts to sob and sob. He cannot stop crying. And he pulls out a gun. He looks at his dad and he says, I was going to commit suicide last night, Dad, because I didn't think you loved me, and now I don't have to. And that story was told. It changed the way the boss dealt with his employees from that time on. He told the story to the junior executive, who told it to the student, who reported it in class, whose teacher called me to tell me we saved the life of that 14-year-old boy with my ribbon. And I could not stop crying. I was in a cement garage going from $1 million at a friend's house, and on a cot. That's where I was sleeping. Gave up my job, gave up my career, gave up everything. My kids thought I had gone off the railing totally. Mom's going off pinning ribbons on people. And so they, Dad said, your mother is like lost herself. And that's what happened. I started to tell the story, and I told it to Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, who are my colleagues. who were later to be the co-authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul series. But at the time, we were all working on the self-esteem movement, 1988. And I called and told them the story, and they said they'll tell it everywhere. And that was way before the book came out. It was one out of the 2,500 submissions in that book they only take 101 stories, of which that story was in the first Chicken Soup for the Soul book. And it got viral all over the world and was picked up for a television movie and like that.
Wow.
And the movie that you have, by the way, doesn't talk about the gun. We left that out when I redid it because it was just too much violence for me. And I left that part out, but the true story was that the boy had a gun.
He had it right there.
He had it right there. In fact, a documentary of my story will be coming out on April the 7th this year, 2024, for a big launch of how we're going to create San Diego, how teens are creating San Diego as a blue ribbon city where everybody gets honored, no one gets left out, everybody's empowered, and it's led by teens. But that story, Jack Canfield, is in that documentary telling the blue ribbon story.
How wonderful. I see so many things that you have done to help people absolutely change their lives. And that's what a wonderful legacy to have. My goodness, I can't imagine what it would be like to be the founder of such a life-changing organization and program. How do you feel about the impact you've had on so many people?
Well, Karolyn, you know, you don't even know the impact you did when you were in Zuzu, okay? And, you know, every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. I mean, all of us have used that forever, yes? Ever. And you don't have to be there for that to have happened, or the production of that movie classic that goes on and on and on through all the generations, yes? And so
there's a difference because that's a movie, and that I can't take credit for that. All I did was appear in that movie, but you have acted, you have been proactive and actually created something that has affected many people.
So I agree with you in certain things, because I'm thinking that God just puts us all in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
I don't have the control over that. I'm clear about that. I think that every time I honor somebody and I say, I take the spark from my heart and put it in the cheerleaders union ribbon, it is the sound that makes dreams come true. And every time you hear a bing, know that a child just got their dream. Now, I say it all the time. In my documentary, I forgot to say it. I just got the documentary and it was just finished. And it said, just know that everybody's going to be behind your dreams forevermore. I didn't say, you know, that line, and I won't go, oh, but I can at least take responsibility. But here's the thing that I did do. You're right about the resilience. You're right about you're an actor in a movie that you get the lines and you say it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I am an actor for God. I don't think I've ever said it that way in my lifetime. I haven't. But I will say this, as I'm speaking with you with this thought about us being together at one year difference in our ages, but I thought, I have been gifted to do this work, and up against everything unlike love. It is a challenging world we live in. People are used to putting themselves down, blaming and shaming and complaining and judging themselves and others. Kids get graded in school all their life on what they did wrong rather than what they did right. You see that red mark on the top and it says 3 wrong. I remember my grades, and it's still going on that way today. So, and there's a punishment model that is about we're not good enough yet until we get more money or more pretty clothes or a bigger house or a nicer car or something like that. We're never enough. And then we get all that and we're still not enough. So in my experience of honoring hundreds of thousands of people and people buying the ribbons and honoring others, and me speaking and training in schools and corporations and organizations, Fortune 500 companies worldwide, it is the same conversation that nobody's ever told me I matter. I say this in my documentary that I would say over 90% of the people that I meet will say, you're the first person ever told me I made a difference, that I matter. And they'll cry and hug. And it doesn't make any difference if you're, president of a country, you're in the military with all of your ribbons on your uniform. I can place a ribbon above the Joint Chiefs of Staff pin, which I did one time when I was speaking. And I said, may I have permission? I didn't know what the pin was. And I said, may I place it above? And he was wearing all of his uniform with all of the ribbons. And he said, it's probably one of the best recognitions I've ever gotten. And people in the audience were just bursting out laughing. I didn't know what I was doing, I just had a ribbon, and I got places to honor the Muhammad Yunus, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, while I was in Bangladesh, who created microfinancing. God, the man is just dear. And, the challenges that we all have, I will honor that God wouldn't leave me I wanted out of this job. I did. I said, I don't want to go anymore. I get kicked out of all the schools. I'm only a crazy lady with a ribbon, even with a book, a chicken soup book, even with a story. It's, you're not academic. And I couldn't speak to the emotional quotient. Today we do. We say emotional intelligence. We say social and emotional literacy. We talk about that now. But very few people know how to teach it, how to be with another human being and uplift them. And so the ribbon ceremony does that. And every time I said to God, you want somebody else. I can't do this work. I'm not moving a needle here. And then I would hear a voice that says, go out and honor somebody. And then I would honor somebody and I'd feel so good. I go, wow, that felt really good. And they were so happy, and we hug each other and bing each other. And I come home and go, okay, I'll keep going. So now I write programs and speak and train and duplicate myself all over the world.
Oh, that's wonderful. So how do people get involved with your Standing Strong Together community building leadership training program?
Okay, this is great. I do not market this. I invite people who are attracted, and they have to be positive and proactive, teens and adults. I don't want to fix anybody's emotional problems. I want them to be already up to where they want to give back and serve and make their bigger difference. So they come to contact me at Sparky, I'll say that now, Sparky, SPARKY at Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS.org, or call me and we'll have that information later. But they contact me by email and they say, I'm interested in Standing Strong Together, heard about it. First of all, they have to be nominated by somebody that I respect, and they have to be vetted by me. And then I go, yep, you're the right person, because they're going to be eligible when they end this to lead their city, their state, or their country. And we're looking at creating whole blue ribbon cities around the world. We're in 12 languages now. And
12 languages?
12 languages, yeah. The ribbon ceremony is in 12 languages. With the Standing Strong Together is a 2-hour, once-a-week program, 6 weeks only. You graduate and you're certified to teach what I gave you. So your curriculum, you'll get curriculum every week, a guidebook, and the 5-star foundation of this work to advance human potential is about first acknowledging the worth of ourselves. We cannot teach anybody else how to love unless we do it for ourselves, is my experience for me. And then that's the first star. The second is to acknowledge the worth of others. How do we acknowledge the worth of others with dignity and respect and uplift them? And the third is to communicate with compassion and love. The fourth is to share your dreams with others so that they can empower you and you can empower them with the Bing. And the fifth is making a difference in our community, country, and world. So those are the 5 stars that I was living through. And I realized that at one point I stepped back and I said, oh my goodness, I've learned to love myself. I know how to love others.
We'll join Karolyn and Chris in just a moment with more of Zuzu All Grown Up.
First, an important message.
To find out more about the organization featured in today's episode or a previous episode and to learn more about how you can help, go to zuzunetwork.com/beanangel.
Pass it on. Imagine a lady who wouldn't give up her seat on the bus, a TV host who wanted to be your neighbor, or an inventor whose 10,000 failures didn't stop him. These vivid images all share the same caption: inspiration. These people just did their best, and they inspire us. Now, what will you do to inspire others? Inspiration is in you. Pass it on. From passiton.com.
Zuzu's book club features recommendations from Zuzu herself on books she loves and thinks you will love also. All of the books that the club reads, fiction and nonfiction, are inspirational and uplifting. Folks, this is a life-enhancing club to be part of. You can sign up for free at zuzunetwork.com/book club. That's zuzunetwork.com/book club. This week's book is Sparky and the Magic Blue Ribbon: How Children Brought Love to the World by Grandma Sparky, Helice Bridges. In the book, Sparky and the Magic Blue Ribbon: How Children Brought Love to the World, San Diego local Grandma Sparky, also known as Helice Bridges, shares the true story of an acknowledgement tool that not only saved her life, but has for over 40 years transformed apathy, anger, and violence into the promise of a better future, filled with dignity and respect.
This is Zuzu, all grown up.
I speak with compassion and love. I empower and support dreams, and I'm making a bigger difference in our community, country, and world. I want to teach that. And so I created a curriculum series for that. And all of those that graduate become Blue Ribbon ambassadors leading the program in their own cities. And we all coordinate together. And that's teens and adults. I just finished another one. And we've got people in Nigeria and South Africa and Costa Rica and in cities across the United States. And I'm invited to speak and train along with them, or I fly someplace and I teach in corporations, organizations, institutions, raising money so we can fund our programs for teens so that they know how to teach our program in their elementary, middle, and high schools.
I think that's so commendable. My gosh, I'm just so impressed. Was there a reason you chose the color blue?
That is a very important question, actually. The original color of the ribbon was given to me. It was red and white. It was scripted. When I came back, you don't even know this, I left after I finished the Hunger Project. I went off to Israel, and I lived there for a year and a half. That's a whole nother story in my life. Wow. And I gave up everything. I gave away my Mercedes, my clothes, my jewelry, and everything. And I went there, and I lived in a kibbutz, and it was basically being a migrant worker, working in the fields, cleaning roads, washing dishes, just doing all that work. When I returned a year and a half later, people came up to me. It was originally the Hunger Project. I had created a button that said, "Who I am makes a difference, my Hunger Project game." I bought 1,000 buttons, and I started to pin them on people. And I raised money for the Hunger Project, about $1,000 a month, and I gave it to the Hunger Project. And that's all I did. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have much money. After I left my husband, he had all the money, and I was just on thread. I did get finally a settlement from him, but it was way below what I was making. I was earning myself. But I bought these buttons. So when I returned, people stopped me and they said, "You're the lady that gave me the button." This is how the button turned into a red ribbon, which turned into a blue ribbon. Because the blue is a very important color, okay? And you asked that question. And the one woman that stopped me in a restaurant, and she came over to me after I'd now been gone a year and a half, and she said, "You're the lady that gave me the button." I said, "The button?" And she said, yes, I'm a school teacher. I put the button in my medicine cabinet. Every night I get home, I'm grading papers, I'm cooking dinner. My kids come in, they drop books on the floor, and they yell, when's dinner going to be ready? And then my husband comes in, he goes in the refrigerator, gets a beer, pops a beer, sits in the front of the TV, and he yells, when's dinner going to be ready? She says, I get a headache. So I leave the kitchen, I go into the medicine cabinet, open the medicine cabinet, and I see your button. It says who? And I say, Mabel, who you are makes a difference. I shut the medicine cabinet. She said, I haven't taken medicine in a year and a half since you told me I mattered.
That's beautiful.
That was the first story. I have hundreds of those stories that happened, but that was the first. And I started telling the stories of the people that came up to me, and they had the buttons. They were rusted on their front doors. They had them in their drawers. They had it. They would always come and tell me a story. I started to tell the stories, and a woman that she was running for a city council or something in San Diego, she came over to my house with a gift wrap box, and she said, I believe that the contents of this box should be all over the world. I had a dream about it last night. And she leaves, okay? I open this box, and it has a roll of red and white ribbons. It was red ribbon with the white scripted that said, who I am makes a difference. And I sat back and I said, this is what I'm going to do? And I cut, there was 120 ribbons on the roll, and I cut them and put little straight pins through them, began to honor people. And it caught on. And then somebody said, you know, that your ribbon is it needs to be blue and gold. And I said, why? And they said, because it's the blue that represents the calmness in us, the vastness of the blue sky, the love, and the gold is the gold inside of us. So to make it the gold letters and the blue ribbon, blue means first prize all over the world. And I went, oh, okay. So I changed it from red and white to blue and gold, and that sustained itself. When my story got into chicken soup for the soul, there was a big party. Let me think about this. Yes, there was a big party at Jack Canfield's house after I was helping him sign my story at the promotional event. And we were all at his home after, his co-author of Chicken Soup, with Mark Victor Hansen, and everybody was gathered around. There's like 30, 40 people gathered around in another room talking, and I was sitting with another gentleman. I said, let's go and check out what they're all talking about. So we all came in. People had their books. I don't think my book came out till about this one, Who I Am Makes a Difference. My book didn't come out till 1997, but this was 1993. Yeah. And so there was a gentleman there that was telling everybody that the color of your book and where the words should be shaped on your book and what should be on it. And everybody was an author there. So they were all showing their books. And he's pointing out, well, you should use a different color, or that font doesn't work right, or whatever he was telling. And everybody was very engaged in this. And all of a sudden he sees my ribbon and he said, that's the wrong script. The font is incorrect. Change your font. And I went, oh, okay. So the blue ribbon went from blue and gold to the scripted font to the font we have today.
Wow. What an evolution.
It's an amazing, and the just so you know, the color and the cut, the way the ribbon is cut on an angle,
yes,
is like an airplane that flies. I cut it. I wanted them to cut so that it would be forward motion.
I see that.
So I have, it's, first prize, forward motion. It has the cheerleaders in the ribbon in the logo, because I wanted to be a cheerleader in school in high school, and I couldn't jump, even though I was a very, an athlete in middle school. In high school, I couldn't jump. I tried, and I was a pom-pom girl in the stands eventually, but I thought maybe I could put the cheerleaders in the ribbon, and that way I could jump as high as I ever wanted to. And that's it right there. Those are the Bing cheerleaders. Okay. Bing. And they jump for your dreams. Everything has a purpose.
That's right. Oh my gosh. And you're so explicit about it. I just think that is marvelous. I always wanted to be on the Mickey Mouse Club. That's the only part I ever tried out for, and I didn't get it because I couldn't dance.
You couldn't?
Sing, but I couldn't dance. And I had lessons and lessons. My mother gave me lessons and everything, but I never made it.
You know, I think what you chose to do this podcast that you're doing now, Wonderful Living, is it just shows you that we can tell other people where we've come from, yes, so that they can know. You know, most people feel when they're on Social Security, and we got way more time on this planet, hopefully, and that we can give back. And you could say something like Mickey Mouse Club. I love that so much. Yesterday, I go to my chiropractor every week, every Wednesday for 45 years now. I hardly ever miss. I get adjusted. And so there's a man in the waiting room, a wonderful, strong, black man, gorgeous looking fellow. And he's wearing a Disney shirt and it's got all the characters on it. I loved it. I went over to him just a couple of days ago and I said, I love that shirt. I said, and we started talking about all the Mickey Mouse and the Donald Ducks and everything that we had on the wall in our house. I said, when I was 50 years old, I had all the pictures all over my bedroom.
Oh my gosh.
So I think when it's fun and it's smart and it's loving, that Mickey Mouse and those characters live inside of us, just for that you are still dancing that dance.
I have one more question.
Okay.
If any of our listeners would like to contact you about starting a program, how do they go about reaching you?
Okay, so two ways. One is to go to Sparky, SPARKY, at Blue Ribbons, BLUERIBBONS. Make sure you get the S on the end of ribbons.org. Okay, and say, I'm really interested in starting a program in my school or my church or my community or whatever. You know, just let me know in the subject line and I'll personally get back to you, probably within 24 hours or something. Yeah, I give you a direct line to our voice message machine and it will show up almost instantaneously in my emails and I will listen to who you are and I will call you back. So that is 760-753-0963, 753-0963. You're welcome to call. They tell me that my voice message is really wonderful, so go ahead and listen to it. But tell me more about you when you call. Tell me what you're up to, the difference you make. Let me know what city, state, country you're in. And that way I have a little bit of reference, and I will definitely call you back.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you today, and I believe that I'm going to get to have this opportunity another time. So for now, we will say till tomorrow.
And I'll say, Grandma Sparky loves you, and bing! Good job.
Do you know someone who is earning their wings? Someone practicing kindness and service to others? Perhaps an organization or initiative helping make the world we live in a kinder, sweeter place.
Or maybe you've witnessed the miraculous, the divine, the magnificent in some way in your life and you'd like to share it with others. Go to zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory and let us know more.
You may end up being featured on an upcoming episode of Zuzu All Grown Up. That's zuzunetwork.com/tellmystory.
A wonderful conversation with Grandma Sparky Bridges. Karolyn, I know you must be looking as forward as I am to part 2 of your interview. Wonderful listeners out there in wonderful land, there is more to come this season with Grandma Sparky, so stay tuned. In the meantime, you can check out her website, www.blueribbons.org. That's www.blueribbons.org.
I would be thrilled to be able to have you participate in honoring people in your businesses, in your homes, in your churches, in your neighborhoods, and be a part of making that difference with all of us, because who you are makes a difference, and dreams really do come true because of you. I'm on a mission to get 1 billion people honored. So I need your help. Let's do this together. Let's get started now. And a 1 and a 2 and a 3. Bing!
Bing. Bing.
I'm Seth Kennedy, back for some parting thoughts. When you hear the word grandma, you might think of someone who bakes cookies and plays bingo, but that is not what you think when you hear the name Grandma Sparky Bridges. She's been named one of San Diego's power women, and it's not about power and might, but rather the power of love. Her program has helped over 50,000 people, and she's not finished yet. She's united teens, that's right, teenagers, in helping accomplish that amazing feat. It all starts with letting others know that who they are makes a difference. Who could you let know today that they make a difference? A friend, a family member, a teacher or coworker? Let whoever makes a difference in your life know. And while you're at it, let you know that you make a difference. I'm Seth Kennedy, and you've been listening to Zuzu, All Grown Up.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Zuzu, All Grown Up.
We hope you've been inspired to live your most wonderful life now and to help those around you do the same.
Remember, no matter what you're going through, no matter who you are, there are people who care about you, and your life makes a difference.
It is a wonderful life.
Check out ZuzuNetwork.com for more on today's and other episodes, including transcripts and merchandise you won't want to be without.
New episodes are coming soon.
For transcripts of today's broadcast, go to ZuzuNetwork.com/transcripts. Zuzu All Grown Up with your hosts Karolyn Grimes and Dr. Chris Brunell.
Announcer and guide Seth Kennedy.
Executive producer Kevin R. Stillmock.
Coordinating producer Holly Ann Way.
Technical producer Stella Joelle.
A Wonderful Land production.
In collaboration with Radio Wonderful.